We give you about a minute to speak. In that minute, I have to also let you know that we are not going to rush you. The most important thing is to make sure that you're heard. That said, we're going to proceed, and again, I apologize for the late start today. And by the end of this hour, I'm certain that you will have had answers to your frequently asked questions. Tony Nnadi.
Yes.
A man who goes to all levels to remain simple. You could be Barrister Tony Nnadi, you could be Chief Tony Nnadi, you could be Dr. Tony Nnadi, you could be anything, but you just want to go by Tony. And so we're going to have, the first question we're going to ask today is about what is NINAS? And how does NINAS intend to deliver the indigenous nationalities of Nigeria from the bondage they are caught in?
Yeah, thank you. NINAS is, as we all know, Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. And it is the aggregation of all the self-determination initiatives across the south and the middle belt of Nigeria, responding to the Sharia that was imposed by the 12 contiguous states of the far north simultaneously in year 2000, against the background of the Constitution of 1999, which was imposed by elements from that same Sharia belt, who now carry on as if they've conquered the rest of us. And so the response could have been the kind of thing that happened in 1966, 67, going into boxing and wrestling. But there's a remedy called self-determination. Self-determination. And that is the remedy that is available to all of those who are, suffering from the brigandage of this imposition of constitution, and more urgently, more particularly, this, anomaly of being killed by people who are supposed to be our compatriots in the union we are building together, in the secular union we are building together. In adopting Sharia, I want some of this, you can bring the map, the NINAS map or the emblem, so people can see, if there's a way you can, bring it for people to see, the NINAS, map. So people can see in graphic terms, these 12 states and the rest of the alliance that is in 3 compartments: the Yoruba bloc, the East, the Lower Niger, and the Middle Belt. I think I can, okay, I have something I can use here. I would have wanted you to call it up on the system so people can see what exactly it is we're talking about. But I will use the copy I have here. So this indigenous nationality, as you can see here, this is the Nigerian indigenous nationality. The alliance territory is what we see here, in which there's the Lower Niger, there's the Yoruba to the other half, and then the Middle Belt to the upper segment. The segment in yellow here is the 12 contiguous states that adopted Sharia simultaneously in 2000. Our contention, therefore, is that the constitution that brought us, Nigeria is a secular state. We agreed to be one union, to be a federation, and to be a secular state. These elements from this Sharia belt, who are feudalists, they tell us to our faces that they are born to rule us, and they adopted Sharia simultaneously and began to do things that now endanger the rest of us. You can see they're killing all over the place. Fulani is killing in the east, killing in the west, killing in the middle belt, insisting that we cannot resolve the constitutional issues that put them, in control of all the guns, and all of us without guns. They come into our space in the name of union, and we say the constitution that brings us together, you put our signature on that constitution as the authors of the constitution. And the rest of us say, no, we didn't make any constitution, we didn't meet. You are alleging that we submitted ourselves into this union. It cannot be so. And we went into this process that has now culminated in the force majeure that we launched in December 16th of 2020, to say, look, there must be an end to this fraud called this constitution. And we address the global community, raising constitutional grievances that must now be addressed within the context of our sovereignty, within the context of our right to self-determination, as we're entitled under the UN instrument, regulating the situation. So we reject the Nigeria defined by that 1999 constitution, and we insist that our right to self-determination is activated now. It's just a matter of managing the process in a manner that doesn't become Somalia. So our proposition for managing it were spelled out in the proclamation of December 16th. Anybody who is listening to this program who has not read that proclamation should please find a way, because in the coming days, this is a union dispute that has been declared by this majority, the whole of the South and the whole of the Middle Belt, rejecting that constitution that they've repudiated already, because we took time to repudiate the constitution. And so let nobody, those who are inviting you to elections and all kinds of things that are anchored on that constitution, you better ask them by what constitution would the winner govern. We are saying we've not made any constitution. We are saying that the union imposed on us, the union of death imposed on us by that constitution, the union of backwardness, the union of attrition, is no longer acceptable to us. And we're a clear majority, and we have a right to our sovereignty. Our sovereignty is never going to depend on anybody, no matter what they call themselves in Abuja. Our sovereignty, also gives us the right to self-determination. And those two cannot be dependent on what anybody who insists should be otherwise thinks. So we have come to where we got the international community to see that we have a proposition that will solve this problem, especially when our lives are now required of us by the same people who seize all our assets. They want us to submit our life so that they slaughter us and become the permanent owners of the place. The Nigerian Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination is in the arena now to say that Nigeria, defined by that constitution, must be brought to an end, and fresh protocols agreed within the rights of self-determination for the constituent components. That's what it is all about.
Donnie, you may unmute. You may unmute, Donnie.
Okay. Oh yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. Sometimes we tend to assume that people in the villages, in the towns, in the schools understand what we're referring to. Can you please tell us a little bit about what an ethnic nationality is?
The ethnic nationalities are the distinct ethnic groups in identifiable ancestral spaces. Western Nigeria, for instance, is inhabited ancestrally by the Yoruba. So they are a distinct ethnic nationality. The Yoruba is a distinct ethnic nationality. And the right to self-determination we're talking about accrues to you if you are a distinct people. Yoruba is one people. That's when they say the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. It is to say you must be a distinct nationality in your ancestral space. That is what qualifies you to enjoy that right. Yoruba is in their ancestral space and therefore entitled to that right to self-determine.
Thank you very much.
The Ijaw in their ancestral space, the Igbo in their ancestral space, the Tiv in their ancestral space. As long as you are a distinct nationality group, ethnic group, you are in your ancestral space, you are entitled to that right to self-determination. You can't enjoy it by any other means. You can't come south-south or southeast or Biafra. That is not. You must be a distinct nationality in your ancestral space. Scot in Scotland, Catalan in Catalonia, Ijaw on Ijaw land.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tony Nnadi. The next question I have here is, we hear about self-determination, restructuring, referendum, and all kinds of other campaigns. It seems all confusing, and at times we wonder whether there is anything linking these campaigns such that can create or support synergy amongst proponents of these various campaigns for quicker success. Is there a way to put all these people together, all these different campaigns, different people talking about referendum, restructuring, and other things? Is there any way to come under a roof to create the synergy that is needed to for a quicker success?
Very much so. Incidentally, they are all complaining about one constitutional grievance or the other. You went to the Niger Delta where the agitation is for resource control. It is a constitutional grievance they are raising, that the oil and gas assets that they know clearly is their own now belong to people in Jigawa and Kano. And not only have they seized it, they actually beat up and kill whoever wants to challenge them. And the reason it is in their hand, not in the hands of the owners, is because the fraudulent constitution we have has designated it as belonging to some federal government. That federal government has been hijacked by this Fulani that are also killing everybody everywhere. So they hang on to that constitution that is supposed to have emanated from a job that discussed with all the other nationalities. And so that campaign for resource control, for instance, and all the restructuring they are demanding to bring them back to where they own their assets, is a product of constitutional grievance. Now, the restructuring they are talking about, all the campaign, all the agitation for restructuring is driven by the desire for self-determination. The desire for self-determination, that is, each want to decide for itself how they live in Ijo land. Yoruba want to decide for itself how they live in Yoruba land. And because Nigeria has intervened with a constitution that prevent them from doing even the most basic things they can do for themselves, they can police their land, they can defend themselves, they can generate their electricity, they can do their roads, they can organize their education to produce skills, not certificates, and all of that. The only reason Yoruba is not able to do that is because there's a Nigeria that has imposed a constitution that forbids them, in fact, criminalize them for doing any of those things. The port in Lagos could be source of 2 trillion naira for the Yoruba owners. But Nigeria, in that constitution on the exclusive list, says, oh, it belongs to us now, not you. And so Yoruba comes to where, having checked all options, they say, look, we want a restructuring. That demand, that campaign is driven by Yoruba's desire for self-determination. Now, you begin to talk about a referendum. Referendum is the mechanism by which that choice is made. Referendum is the mechanism in the 21st century by which the choice is made of the degree of autonomy, because in all of what everybody is asking for, even the ones that they say they want to do a republic, they say they want the Biafra Republic, all of these demands called various names, they are only discussing the only difference. They are all seeking self-determination. But the only difference is the degree of self-determination we're talking about. The ones that say they want Odua nation, at the time, the Yoruba have been leading the campaign for restructuring. They both want Yoruba to be in charge of the things happening in their space, of their life. But one is prepared to accept maybe 60 or 70% autonomy. The other is bent on getting 100% autonomy. So the Yoruba nation, the people campaigning for Yoruba nation are doing so for the constitutional grievances driving the demand for restructuring. But the ones that want Yoruba nation will not take anything less than 100% autonomy. The other ones saying, let us restructure, are prepared to accept maybe the level of autonomy that Awolowo had in the constitution of the regions. that lasted up to 1966. And so they are both seeking the same relief. One is prepared to go with 80% and manage some union that can do the other things for them. The other say, look, these our neighbors have never wished us well. We want to be fully in charge 100%. It is by referendum that we are going to determine what the majority of Yoruba people want. So whether you seek restructuring or you seek independence or you seek proper federation, the one they call true federalism, it is a demand for self-determination, it is the desire for self-determination. The important thing is that it is the peoples of the territory that will have to decide that degree of autonomy by themselves in a process called referendum. That is how they relate. You can see the people going to restructure, the people going to Biafra, the people going to Odua Republic, the people going to resource control, all or through federalism, they are all rejecting certain things that have been imposed on them by Nigeria. And the civilized process for getting them to make the choice of what they want in place of what they are rejecting, except they are calling for war, in which everybody pulls a gun against everybody. We don't want that. And we've brought a framework that will moderate, a framework the international community can relate with, a framework that has process, a framework that interfaces with the existing governance structure. To say, let us put all the things on the table, put maps to it. These are identify everybody's land. Then take the question to referendum to say, Yoruba, what will you prefer? Let them vote. If most of them vote that they want 100% autonomy, it's within their right of self-determination, according to that UN instrument. If most of them vote to want to remain in Nigeria, that they'll be satisfied with the 80% autonomy as they had up to the 1963 constitution, of course, that becomes the prevalent. The same thing for the East, the same thing for the Middle Belt. But you cannot impose a constitution on them, put their signature on that constitution, and stand on that constitution as basis of killing them in the manner they are being killed, seizing their assets in the manner it's been seized, and you think they're going to fold their hands. Unfortunately, for those who are holding them by gun at gunpoint, that right to self-determination does not depend on whether anybody in Abuja agrees with them or not. They only have to show the relevant international system that they are organized and they are ethnic nations in their ancestral space, and they have a process that can go to, in an orderly process that can go to referendum. So all of them are saying the same thing, the only difference being the degree of autonomy. And there's no other way to determine than taking it to referendum. Any other suggestion by anybody is a product of imposition, and it will not stand, because you can see there's a majority speaking now, and that right, unfortunately for the others, are not dependent. That right is not dependent on whether anybody from outside their space agrees with them or not.
Yes, thank you very much. And an interesting thing that you brought up there is a referendum is the question. Many people ask questions about what is going to happen, and I usually leave it at referendum. The people will decide. It's the people's right to choose. Referendum essentially is voting. This is what we want. So I can't sit here on this side of it and tell you what's going to happen, because I don't know what percentage of the autonomy that Yoruba wants, or that the Igbo wants, how they plan to relate with one another. Do you want to be one Nigeria nation that is federated, that relates in certain ways to others? Do you want to be 100% independent nation? Those things are decided by the people, and nobody can take that right away from them. So they get an opportunity to do that. In fact, interestingly, while you were speaking, somebody left a question. I think it's Yabo that said some lawyer said it's not possible to have a referendum since it's not in Nigeria's constitution. How does NINAS hope to achieve this?
That question is totally uninformed. The union dispute, and I can guarantee that the person that raised that question has not read the proclamation of December 16th. In our subsequent meetings, anybody who has not read that declaration from beginning to end will not be admitted into asking questions, because this kind of question is coming from having not read. But we won't beat them up for not reading. Let's just say
Tony, let me stop you right there, please. Let me stop you right there. The person asking the question is not like they don't have the answer. It's just like I'm asking you questions that I know the answers to, but I'm a pretend dummy right now, just so that you can enlighten others. Yes.
All right. The Constitution of Nigeria, and I have a copy here. The 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, our contention is that it is a fraud and a forgery, to the extent that it claimed in its preamble that we, the people, having solemnly resolved to live in unity, we can see it. It tells a lie that we have solemnly resolved, that the Yoruba have solemnly resolved to live with the Ijaw and the Fulani and the Igbo, and therefore make this constitution. These are two false claims, that we, the people, having firmly and solemnly resolved to live together in unity as one indivisible union, do hereby make and give unto ourselves the following constitution. Our contention is that, going by the contents of Decree number 24 of 1999, by which the Constitution was brought to life, it tells the story of how the Constitution was made by the authors. It says that they set up a committee that went around and said that most people wanted a return to 1979. Again, we didn't make the one of 79. It was by military decree that they imposed what became 79. So the bottom line is that on account of this proof of how the document came, contained in that decree number 24, and it therefore nullifies the lie, it defeats the lie here that we, the people, made it. So our contention is that we have not met, that's the nationalities, the owners of the sovereignties that have been confiscated into this union by this supervening force, this monster that is not willing to discuss with anybody, that is killing everywhere. And if you want to know who between the people, the owners of the land, and the people who sit as government, if you want to know who exactly has the right to make the reason we're saying that this cannot be constitution over us is that even by their own admission in section 14 of the Constitution, section 14(2)(a), they admit that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principle of democracy and social justice. It is hereby accordingly declared that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. This is a universal truism. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria. That is, sovereignty belongs to Yoruba. Sovereignty belongs to Ijaw, from whom government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. It means that until the Yoruba that could be country of their own sit down with the Ijaw that could be country of their own in exercise of their sovereignty, now writing union protocol, union agreement. Constitution is simply union agreement. And there are two things they have to settle. First, that they want to be in union. And second, the terms of that union. That's what Bola was trying to explain to everybody for many years at the time they were canvassing for sovereign conference. And so our contention is that, having admitted this universal truism, that sovereignty belongs to us, who would then make a document we can call constitution to create the union and empower those who will manage it in the name of government, the people you call government. It's all going to be our creation in exercise of our sovereignty. Now, what has happened is that that meeting was not called, and some people wrote a document and put our names and signature as the authors of the document, in contravention and negation of our, in fact, in defiance of our sovereignty. And 21 years after that whole thing was done in 1999, all attempts to get them to see that this cannot be, and that the right to decide for ourselves in our various places is inalienable. They refuse to listen. Everything you say, they go and pull a gun and begin to point at people. So we said to them, we have organized ourselves. We've taken all democratic processes to repudiate the document in each of the spaces. That was why we went in this alliance. That's why we mandated each of the alliance blocks to hold their solemn assemblies. The eastern side, the Lower Niger, held their own 27th of April 2015. Yoruba held their own on the 7th of September in 2017 at Adamasingba Stadium. The Middle Belt did their own in Macaulay on the 8th of July in 2018. So the three blocks have repudiated the 1999 Constitution on account of the fraudulence of its origin. And where we are now is that it is that Constitution itself, just like the apartheid Constitution of South Africa. It couldn't have contained any relief. So the relief we are seeking is not to come to us through that Constitution. That's why we have to go to the international instrument that allows us that relief. And we have organized ourselves. We are not going to be bogged down by whatever anybody is thinking in Abuja. The owners of the sovereignties are going to retrieve their sovereignty. If we cannot discuss in the union to first settle the question of whether we want to be in the union, as claimed in that preamble that we have agreed. We have not met, we have not agreed. That's the contention. We don't have a constitution. So those who are talking about a constitution that, it's like telling Oliver Tambo and Nelson Mandela in 1988 that the apartheid constitution of South Africa did not make room for the relief for the thing they were pursuing, the thing they were demanding. That's going to be something that is being said in some level of ignorance. We do not need. We are saying that the constitution. We are not taking anything from this constitution. We have to accept that the forgery has to be put aside, and we already offered the government a transitioning, landing mechanism for this whole debate. How do we solve this problem? We said to them in the 5-point demand, let us accept that we have not made the constitution and stop deceiving ourselves. Let us then commit to the...
Tony, I think you have made your point. I think you've made your point very clear.
Yeah. Okay.
In summary, what our people need to understand is that the government is a byproduct of the constitution. Nigeria is a byproduct of the constitution, the contract that put it together. So people see Nigeria as the father and the constitution as a byproduct of that of the father. And that is not, and it's
that's
the other way around. It's
that's
upside down.
It
is the constitution that created the union, that created government and everything. But people look at the size of government and it's like, wow, Nigeria, it's so big. It's like this thing. People cannot even imagine that this is a byproduct of a decision some people made. Got in a room and said, we're going to create Nigeria. That's how nations are formed.
No, it is like shareholders. It is like shareholders and their companies. It is the owners of the company that create the company.
Exactly.
The document they use to create the company is called the memo and articles. They agree that they will be in that enterprise, that they will undertake that enterprise. They submit their assets and take the risk of it. And they document that agreement in what they call memorandum of association. Then, having created that company, they come down to another document they call articles of association to now spell out how they will relate as owners of that enterprise. But when you come to a situation where the memo and articles
years ago,
you're
going to see nations that were there that are no longer there today. You're going to see borders. That's why they release maps periodically, defining new boundaries and new borders, because nations come and go. They can end and they can be expanded to include other nations. They can be broken apart. And this is just how life has been. Just study the maps over the years. And it's very easy to see what can happen in Nigeria.
And one point of information still, all discussions relating to self-determination begin with maps and end with constitution. So anybody who says is pursuing self-determination, who does not have a clear map, because the first question you are going to be asked is, where does this territory begin? Where does it end, over which you seek independence? The second question will then be, what is the agreement between all of you in that space, especially if you are not one language group? The Biafran case, for example, we had the George Ogoni, the Anang, the Efik, And if you say you want independence, you must have a definite territory. So it begins with map, the territory over which you are laying claim for the independence you seek. Then whatever be the final product is going to be documented in that instrument called constitution. That is what becomes that political union. So let us have it very clear in our mind that what the memo and article is to the company, that is what the constitution is to the country. And the shareholders, in the case of a country, are those units that could be countries of their own, but for the union agreement called constitution they went into. Yoruba could be a country of 60 million people. The lower Niger could be a country of 70 million people when you put all of South, South, and Southeast together. The Middle Belt could be a country of 45 million people. The reason they are staying together is that claim that they have solemnly resolved to live together. And our contention is that we have not met and we have not resolved anything.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. And by the way, for clarification, the Biafra you were referring to was the Biafra of 67 to 70.
Yes.
Yes. Another question. From the December 16, 2020 proclamation of the constitutional force majeure, so much has happened in Nigeria around the subject raised by the proclamation. Can you take us briefly through the progress that has been made toward the desired destination? Where are we now? And what are the next steps for attaining the outcome we seek?
Thank you. So much has happened, so much, including today that we saw that, China that already agreed to give them loan to build a pipeline that will take gas from Niger Delta to Kano and all kinds of faraway places. China has pulled back from disbursement of $1 billion that's supposed to be the life of that project, because NINAS had raised the issue in the proclamation that all these reckless foreign loans being taken in the name of Nigeria that is now disputed, because it's a union dispute we raised in December, that those who were, the loans that were taken before that date, we'll commit to finding answers for them, whatever happens to Nigeria or with Nigeria, but that any loans given out from the date of that proclamation will come into controversy, because you can't go to be loaning money to a disputed project. Nigeria is now a disputed project. So that is just one item. But I tell us, right from the day we made that declaration, in less than 48 hours, the Senate threw up something of amendment. Okay, we're going to amend. The grounds, all the things they listed as the thematic areas for that amendment were lifted 100% from the constitutional grievances listed in that proclamation. Where were they since 1999? What were they doing about all those things? So they thought they were going to go to National Assembly to deceive people into thinking that they were meeting up with changes that have been demanded, the constitutional grievances have been addressed. Of course, we just told them when they had gathered to begin their charade, we just told them that the legislative mandate of the National Assembly does not extend to constitution making, full stop. It didn't take more than 1 week from the time we put it out for the pretense to collapse. So there's no amendment that will solve this problem going on, because we said it clearly that our principal contention is that we have not made a constitution. We have not met, we have not submitted ourselves, and we have not made any constitution. So what constitution is that National Assembly amending? That National Assembly itself is in issue, because how did we come about the 36 states, the 704 local government areas, and therefore the representation, 3 senators per state, from a union of 4 regions, 4 equal regions? You now have 1 region becoming 19 states that will have ×3 the number of senators, and Abuja, Federal Capital Territory, on their side. And the other 3 regions compressed into 17 states. And we're supposed to come to sit in Abuja and wait for them to have mercy on us. The legislative mandate, the jurisprudence of the situation, unfortunately, and they must have been misled by characters like Yadudu, the quota professor that processed that 1999 constitution for them, having been appointed by Abacha for all kinds of purposes. The reality in jurisprudence, and I'm waiting for that lawyer that will come with a counter argument from any part of Nigeria so that we can disgrace them on national television or wherever they turn up. The National Assembly's mandate is to make law under Constitution. We are not saying they can't amend Constitution if we had a Constitution. Our contention is that we do not have a Constitution they can amend now. And what needs to be done requires constituent powers to be done. Constituent powers accrue only to the sovereign components, the ones who are bringing their sovereignty to form a union. So that constituent power is exclusive to them. The process that will become constitution, the meeting that will become constitution, is only one in which people who own that sovereignty mandate their delegates to go to a meeting specifically for the purpose of discussing union agreement. That is what is required. National Assembly is overstepping its bounds, in fact, committing treason, compounding the treason of 1999 by pretending we have a constitution they can continue to amend and waste everybody's life and everybody's time. We've informed them as quietly as we can. We're informing them loudly now that the people being killed in the Middle Belt, the ones whose assets are detained in Niger Delta, the Yoruba that are being killed in Ikogo today, the Lagos port that are held against the will of the owners of the port, are saying to those senators, those people gathered in Abuja, pretending to have become the new owners of our sovereignty, that they're committing treason against us, and it is coming to the point where the owners of the sovereignty are going to have issues with them, especially the ones coming from the areas of the alliance territory. The National Assembly has no mandate to negotiate constitution for us, or to make or unmake. Let us agree that we have not made a constitution. Let us call the kind of meeting as contained in our proclamation. Those 5 points demand, spell out how we can do it. They are defying us, they are defying our sovereignty, they are defying the people they claim to represent. We hope that defiance will not come to the point where the public will also now decide what to do with them to defy the modicum of authority being extended to them now.
Tony, there's an interesting question here.
Yes.
Will there be war?
Well, I will ask the person who asked that question. Between who and who? Exactly. This is the map of the situation. War between who and who? These three are in agreement that this constitution is a fraud that must now go away. The only people insisting are these ones who impose that constitution and who are clinging onto it as basis of Nigeria. At the time, all these ones have said there's no union if this constitution is the only instrument. And so I ask again, war between who and who? Is it the Yoruba that will be called into another war to go and beat up the East, or the Middle Belt that is being slaughtered house to house today that is going to be invited into war? Okay, the only people levying war against everybody is the Fulani from this stretch. They are the ones killing in all the places. But I tell you, for the purpose of this debate, they dare not go in the direction of trying to levy war, because they will be routed, even without a fight. If all these people are now to fight for their life, are you suggesting that Fulani will take on all of them and defeat them because they are pretending to be Nigeria that have been rejected by all these ones? The reason they are molesting people all over the place now is that most people have not braced up to what is on the table. Is in dispute today, and at the expiration of the consultations going on amongst, we took 120 days after waiting for 90 days for the federal government. We took 30 days for the state, governments and the elected officials from the alliance territory. We then took 120 days that began on April 17th for the populace and the international community. Still talking about what has happened since after that time. You remember that the US, the EU, and the UK pointedly told Nigeria that they cannot resort to use of force in this discussion. In April, in fact, between April 28, 29, and 30 of 2021, arising from our engagements with the international community, Abuja was told that Guns will not feature in this debate. Abuja was told that it is a dialogue of the people as raised as in the grievances they are raising that will solve the problem, and that a fresh legal instrument will have to emanate from the dialogue. And so the international community has spoken. That's a big development from the force majeure that has been implemented. And the nationalities have come out on the street. You saw the Yoruba in Ibadan. You saw them in Akure. You saw them in Ogbomoso and Osogbo. You saw them in Lagos, even against the threats that were all over the place. You saw them in Washington and New York. You saw the CNN talking about the disputations that have now gone beyond the Biafra, that Yoruba also want out of the Union. I can tell you, the Middle Belt is also fed up. You see autumn and all the things brewing up in that area. From we're informing our people now that what we put on the table as a solution to the Nigeria that is distressed is producing fruits already, both in the international arena and amongst the constituent components of Nigeria. They are working together to come to that point where they will say, this far, no more. We're inviting everybody to go back and read what was written, what is this proposition? And it can be found on the website ninasffn.org. ninasffn.org. I want it displayed, just standalone display, so that those who have not read this proclamation of December 16 can please go and read it. Those who can read and write should find a way to transmit the message to the ones in the rural areas. Everybody who can write their names and go to the internet, please read it, because it may spell the difference between life and death if you know or you don't know. Let us acquaint ourselves with what has been proposed so that we can relate with how it is developing. Nobody is going to wait for all these shenanigans of people who are pretending that nothing is going on. The owners of the sovereignty are very clear in their minds how they are going to retrieve their sovereignty, since Nigeria doesn't want to discuss with them. Nigeria has become an advance, has become a suzerainty, like Britain was in colonial time. Nigeria has become an advance, sovereignty, because it is the sovereignty they hijacked from the owners of the sovereignty that is now that Nigeria, pretending and acting on our behalf everywhere. That Nigeria is disputed. That sovereignty belongs to those who own it. The sovereignty of unitary Nigeria will have to give way. And it is that constitution that is 100% of their power. The owners of the sovereignty are pulling back that empowerment based on the fraud of putting their signature on a document they never discussed.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tony. And it's also important to note that even that Sharia territory, that the Fulani is not the majority there. That those people that they have held hostage over there, the Hausa and the other ethnic nationalities in that space, are also seeking their freedom. So yes, in case of war, in case anybody is fearing war, note that Fulani is in a very, they came by
jihad. They came by jihad in 1804 into the territory that will now call Sokoto the Gobre, and remove the Hausa kings, deceiving them with Islam that will be better to curb corruption, all kinds of nonsense. But for the purpose of our campaign right now, we'll come to the second layer of the question, the problem, when we get to that bridge. What will happen to the owners of that Sharia territory, the actual indigenous owners who have been, that's what's going on in Zamfara now. All of what they call bandit is ethnic cleansing against the indigenous nationalities in that territory. The Fulani came from outside. They are bringing Fulani from all over Africa to come into the space to join them to overrun the rest of the people. That's what's going on. That's what they are calling banditry now. It is ethnic cleansing, and we've had the privilege of going to discuss it with the powers that be between Washington and New York and elsewhere. So nobody's deceived. The question of farmers and herdsmen clashing does not arise. It is ethnic cleansing by Fulani that wants to overrun everybody. Those people in the place will come back to where we deal with them. Now,
Tony.
The Sharia under which they have seceded from a secular union that is in issue. The Sharia and the constitution. That's why the union cannot be.
Yes, let's go to our next question. Thank you for that,
Right.
Tony.
Yes.
How the case of properties, people have invested in different parts of Nigeria, and there's a concern. Will I lose my land will I lose my property in Abuja? Will I lose my property in Lagos? Will I, it's where will people lose their properties domiciled outside their home regions?
Yeah, now again, every question arising, I point those asking the question and everybody else to please go and read what we put up. The alliance, the whole purpose of the alliance is that everybody, there's the international first, there's the international regime for ownership of property that will moderate everything. Our people live in the US, you're in the US, you own property there. Our people live in Benin Republic, our people live in Ghana, they own property all over the world. How come it is the property inside Nigeria that's always the one of big concern of whether they will lose or not lose? And we see these same people who are imposing themselves on the rest of us, threatening us every time about how they will take property as if there are no laws governing those things. But beyond that, over and above that, there are three things in place. Nobody is going to lose any pin. That is the assurance of Lower Niger Congress, particularly, and now NINAS. Because of the alliance, everybody can live in any part of the alliance territory that they choose. And you only need to, just like Germany and France and Portugal, you only need to document yourself to show that you are from any part of these three blocks. If you are Yoruba and you have worked for Mobile in Port Harcourt and you settled in Port Harcourt, who is going to come to ask you to vacate your property in Port Harcourt? It's not going to happen. The same thing for the Igbo assets that are in Lagos and the Igbo assets that are in Abuja and elsewhere. We have this alliance as the first, the first layer of protection that nobody is going to lose anything. But above these two, I've talked about international law of ownership of property, and I've also talked about alliance. But above those two, there's even the definite asset protection and guarantee scheme, particularly of the Lower Niger. Others can, to various degrees of need. But going by what happened with abandoned property in 1970, after the Biafran War, the Lower Niger Congress worked out what it called the Asset Protection and Guarantee Scheme, under which all the assets belonging to people from that eastern half of southern Nigeria, situated outside that eastern half, in other parts of the country, will be documented, and some arrangements that we've had to discuss in Washington and elsewhere, will be put in place. It's basically what do you call an inventory. We take an inventory, we quantify it in terms of money, and there's everything we need to get that going is already in place. And once we are done with the chart of relationship, which is more urgent for the place where we are on the roadmap, we'll get into that. Nobody will lose their assets. Not one pin of their asset will be lost. That is an assurance, because there's a plan in place that already took care of that. When we deploy that asset protection and guarantee scheme, they only need to do their part of documenting, leave the rest to the process. Nobody's the answer is that nobody's going to lose it. All these people who are talking about war and the loss of assets is because they want to frighten you into abandoning your right to your sovereignty. Oh, you're going to lose this and that. Who told them? Which Yoruba man is going to, even in 1970, did Yoruba seize any asset of the Igbo, despite the fact that Nigeria wanted them to? Even people who ran and left their houses, Yoruba collected rents and returned it to the people who owned it. When they came, who owned the properties, when they returned from the war. So at what point will Yoruba now join them in their brigandage of going to steal people's things? It's not going to happen. The Middle Belt has woken up. And you saw when they were giving Igbo quick notice in the north. Middle Belt said, look, leave their Sharia broken down places, come into our space, let's see who will come to chase you there. Even the properties that are in those upper Sokoto and Katsina and Maiduguri, they will all be documented, they will all be quantified in terms of money. Anybody who has done that documentation with evaluation and is verified, because there's a verification process that's involved, will not lose the value, because that is property, we're able to put value to it, so that if for any reason you have to leave it for a while for the safety of your life or that of your family, we can assure you that you will have the sovereign guarantee, the sovereign guarantee for those ones falling in those fringes. And I tell you, it doesn't come to anything more than 5% of all the concern. We have answers for it, and it will be deployed like all the other answers. Next question, please.
Thank you very much. It's very important for people to know that the Nigeria of today is not the Nigeria of 1966. It's a totally different place today. Thank you very much. Another question here is, in fact, this one you have actually handled it already. How do we get the majority required in the National Assembly to make new constitution? I would say, let's just swing over that one. There's, I think it's already answered. Do you want to touch on it actually?
We do not need National Assembly or any majority in National Assembly to sort out the question of the union agreement. That's what the Constitution is. We have not made any agreement. We either dismantle the union right now, or we go make an agreement. From 1967, after Aburi, it was always, oh, we have to go and fix the union, otherwise it will dismantle. From the 16th of December in 2020, we have dismantled the basics. You remember that Yadudu raised alarm in July or so of 2020 when he heard that this action was coming. And he said that the people who are pushing this action are actually going to unhinge the legal basis of the Federation of Nigeria. That is exactly what we targeted to do. That imposition, that unitary Nigeria that takes its root from that constitution of a forgery, was what we decided to get rid of. That is not Nigeria of 1960. That is not the Federation of Nigeria. The Federation of Nigeria is totally different from the unitary Nigeria, which they call one Nigeria. For those who just talk one Nigeria because they had other people saying it, the Federation of Nigeria is dead from 1966-67. The one Nigeria that emerged, the dummy, the monster that emerged in 1967 from the overthrow of the 5 constitutions that define the Federation of Nigeria, is the one they call one Nigeria. The meaning of one Nigeria is the Nigeria of imposition, the Nigeria that belongs exclusively to the Fulani, the Nigeria in which they can kill you and own your assets and wipe you off from your space. That is the meaning of one Nigeria, and that is what we are rejecting. And it is that 1999 constitution that imposes that unitary Nigeria. Therefore, in defeating that 1999 constitution, we have gotten rid of that unitary Nigeria. So it is up to those who want union to now come to persuade, like a marriage in which the woman goes back to her father's house. The mass wedding of 1914 has come to ruin. The Southern Lady of Minsk, the daughters of the Southern Lady of Minsk, have filed for divorce on the 16th of December in 2020. That is the union dispute that was raised. We do not need the National Assembly in any part of that discussion. The processes are listed in the proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. What about all this? There's all this talk about landlocked. Igbo is landlocked. That Middle Belt is landlocked and all that. In light of the alliance, what does that? Can you touch on that and what it means to all the partners, all the alliance partners? Will the Middle Belt, for example, I know for a fact that Igbo is not landlocked. We have access to the sea. The Middle Belt that is far away from the sea, what is their situation after Nigeria, after we go into these referendums and the sovereignties are defined and recovered and all that, how does that affect our brothers and sisters in the Middle Belt?
If this illustration can be brought up on the screen so that I can speak to it from where everybody can see, but before it's brought up, no, not that. The one I'm showing here. No. Now, okay, let's use this before they find it. First, for Eastern Nigeria. That Eastern Nigeria that we had Buhari the other day talk about dots in the circle. The alliance that the Caliphate raised against Eastern region in 1967 was one in which the Eastern region of the time was broken into 3 rivers bordering the Atlantic waterfront and the southeastern states, current Akwa Ibom and Cross River, bordering the Cameroonian border, and locking in the balance, the little balance they called East Central State, into this tiny white patch you see. And so it is in that thinking that things are still where they used to be for them, that Buhari was talking about dots in circle. These are not the maps. The map we're talking, the 2 illustration, the 2 map illustration is the one we need, not this one. Now, this is that dot in the circle. The southeast of today is that white patch. But from that 1967, this alliance that is now in place has moved things to this situation. And in the lower Niger territory, that Eastern Nigeria that also has the Midwest adjoining it with plenty of Igbo in the current Delta states, the lower Niger is the combination of the South and Southeast, the Niger Delta with the Igbo, the East Central state of the time with the rivers and Southeastern state that is now Akwa Ibom and Cross River. The rivers have become rivers and Bayelsa. So within the context of the alliance, within the context of the lower Niger paradigm, in which the nationalities of that South and Southeast, they have abandoned all of what Nigeria decided to call them in order to divide them, to conquer them. Those things have been put aside, and so Ijaw is standing with their Ishekiri, Urobo, Igbo, Anang, Efik, brethren, so that they are federating. That's where they are now making out a chart of relationship to be able to hold together and push back that common enemy. Because that same enemy killing the Ijaw is also killing the Igbo, killing the Ogoni, killing the Urobo, killing the Benin. Everybody is being killed. And so that's coming together of the lower Niger block here, the peoples of the lower Niger has broken that mischief. You remember that Junaid Mohammed, may God forgive him wherever he is. Junaid Mohammed, that in the period they were talking about, second tenure for Jonathan. Junaid Mohammed had reminded the Niger Delta, the South-South, said the so-called South-South is the creation of the North to manage their interests in Eastern Nigeria. And so all of those shenanigans, whether it was the states that were created on the 27th of May in 1967, or the South-South that is being used to divide a people that should be working together, with the so-called Southeast, which Buhari is now describing as dot in circle, all of those have been overtaken. Therefore, the eastern side have unlimited access to the Atlantic waterfront all the way to the Cameroonian border. They also have international border there in that block. For the middle belt, of course, the essence of this alliance is for everybody to get into a better situation. The middle belt will have unrestrained access within the context of the alliance of the three to the water frontier, whether they want to come from the Yoruba space into the Atlantic or from the lower Niger into the Atlantic, is all part of what the protocols that will bind these three, pending when this Sharia belt sorts out. This Sharia belt will have to go. They've seceded from our secular Europe, so we're no longer discussing them. They've left on their own accord. If you go to section 10 of the Constitution, you will see how we came to that conclusion. Because that section says, the government or the federation of that of a state shall not adopt any state religion. Full stop. From the time in year 2000 that these 12 states, contiguous 12 states, simultaneously adopted Sharia, they have seceded from a secular union. At the time, we were already disputing the constitution they imposed on us. So between the two, they've gone their way, they've exercised their right to self-determination. That is what the rest of us are saying to the international community. They have exercised their right to self-determination. The rest of us are stepping into our right to self-determination. Therefore, the Middle Belt has nothing to worry, nothing at all to worry. And we have been speaking with their leaders from the Tiv to the Berom to the Jukun. The alliance travels round. We don't sit in one corner. We go to where the nationalities live, and we have understandings that are not yet for public consumption at this time. But for those who are concerned about that, Middle Belt to have, within the context of this alliance, have unlimited access to the sea. Yeah, I'm done. Hello, Johnny.
Oh, thank you very much. I was muted.
Right.
It's also very, thank you, Tony. It's also very important to reiterate that the alliance is very vital in the area of security, because this is our thickest layer of protection from all the things that people are fearing. Oftentimes you go online and people are sharing all these things about people talking about, oh, you don't even count on the UN, or UN will never come to help you. Don't count on these foreign countries, they will not come to help you. You know, as though that is our thickest layer of protection. I think the alliance is the thickest layer of protection. And
yeah, let me touch on that. I completely agree with you, but we also need to show them this. The people who are making those suggestions. One, the alliance is the first serious layer of protection. And I already talked about it, that the Fulani will be reckless and mad if they think they are going to be able to take on, if Buhari in June or May, when was it, he went to run his mouth about dot in circle and talking to people in language they understand. June. If Buhari in June of 2021 is still talking about dot in circle and how people how he's being told by people in the Niger Delta that the Igbo will not be allowed to pass through their territory. He's still counting on the dead alliance of 1967. The Ninas alliance has defeated and decapitated the alliance of 1967. The Middle Belt is no longer available to the caliphate to go and kill people as willing tools in the south. Let it be known very clearly to them. And so there's no possibility that they are going to say, we are going to, the best defense for the first layer of defense for the peoples of the alliance. The Yoruba is sure that no Igbo man will come to kill anybody in Yoruba land. The Middle Belt is sure that nobody from Lower Niger will come to kill anybody in the Middle Belt. And the rest of us are sure that the Middle Belt that is being slaughtered house to house, which is now looking in the direction of where help can come from in terms of working with the rest of the people who have been killed by that same enemy. They are not going to suddenly forget that that enemy was killing them. And so all of us are better, protected in that alliance. But the one that is down, the one they're talking about international community, I've had the privilege of going to discuss with those critical segments of international community who may have a role to play in this matter. And it is not for nothing that the UN sent the rapporteur mission led by Agnes Calamat in August of 2019 to come to talk about what was the source of this blood that was flowing all over Nigeria. And that report was that it was the constitutional arrangement of Nigeria that was like pressure cooker for injustice that was behind all of the bloodshed, whether it is the middle belt, the killings going on in the middle belt, or the ones going on in the east, or the ones going on in western Nigeria now. Look at how many communities that are under siege in southern Kaduna today. Look at how many Yoruba communities that are under siege as I speak with you. The same thing in the eastern part where they are pretending to be launching a military operation. Niger Delta has been upside down from the same people pretending to be federal government. In which federation are they holding as federal government when we don't have a federation? It is the Fulani that has hijacked our federation. It is the Fulani that run that federal government exclusively. Otherwise, they should explain to us why all the guns in the land are in their hand. Or they think we're all blind not to see, and they're telling us Nigerian this and Nigerian that. Nigerian Army, Nigerian National Assembly, Nigerian NNPC, Nigerian Customs Service, Nigerian Immigration, all of them are Fulani, Fulani, Fulani. So the rest of us are clear in that, and we are heading to where that matter will be decided one way or the other. The pictures you are seeing was where in 2019, we went to Washington to explain to them that the people who are supposed to be in union with us, the Fulani, have invited the ISIS into our space. Our government is in direct dealing with ISIS. From Boko Haram, they used to push away Jonathan. We saw in 2014 when ISIS came to join forces with them and became ISWAP, and they began to overrun communities. They've come from Middle Belt now to the south, and they tried to tell the whole world that it's farmers and headers clashing. No, the pictures you saw here was where we went to Washington to tell them that it's not so, and that the US has a direct national security stake in the matter. And the map you see here is map of West Africa. I think you should come to where these people can see what I'm holding on. This is the map of West Africa. The US is concerned now that ISIS, that has already made a landing in Nigeria, is being joined by Israel in a setting that can collapse the whole of West Africa, as you see in this red line, into their hold. Chad here, Niger there, Northern Mali, they're already hanging around, but they need the resources of the balance of Nigeria to be able to declare their caliphate, the type of thing they try to do in what do they call it, Syria and Iraq. They didn't succeed. They relocated here and they're reinforcing themselves as we speak because of that joint venture with Boko Haram. And we saw the involvement of Muhammad Buhari in in the coming of Boko Haram. He was their known sympathizer. They nominated him to come to represent them in the meeting that was going to happen in Saudi Arabia when Jonathan was brought under sufficient pressure. Muhammad Buhari is still the grand patron of Miyetti Allah. Miyetti Allah have been taking responsibility, and proudly too, of the killings being executed by Fulani herdsmen. Fulani herdsmen that have been, reckoned as the fourth most deadly, terrorist group on earth. That Miyetti Allah is proudly taking responsibility for their actions. And Buhari remains the patron of that Miyetti Allah. Buhari went into our treasury, took 100 billion naira to hand over to Miyetti Allah. And I'm being invited to still think that is the one that will go to fight people they invited. We told the Americans that these people are working hand in hand in a joint venture in which Fulani and ISIS intend to overrun the rest of Nigeria so that Fulani can have a homeland. We saw the governor in Bauchi that said that Fulani from everywhere belong to Nigeria. We saw when Buhari threw our borders open, compromised our sovereignty fundamentally, and the Fulani from everywhere poured into this space. And so as a joint venture between them, Fulani will have the whole of Nigeria as their new homeland, accommodating them from everywhere they come. Pantami is planted in the ministry there to document them. That is what is going on. They are being given national identity cards through the back door in the NIN exercise that they are running. Then ISIS will have an operational base. So while the Fulani get a homeland, ISIS will have an operational base and the whole of West Africa will collapse into their control. That's what's going on. And so we told the US that you thought you had defeated ISIS in the Middle East. No, they merely relocated to Spain to reinforce themselves. So the US is in this whole game on account of their strategic national security concern. Let nobody be deceived. Let us look back at the policy actions that have been rolled out. We saw when Nigeria was put on the special watch list in 2020 or 2019, December 2019. We also saw when Nigeria was put was categorized as a country of particular concern and state sponsor of terror in December of 2020. I will not say more than that at this time, but let those who are talking about whether international community will do this or do that, not look away from these pointers. There are things that have been concrete things that have been decided, and they're going to happen, whether anybody wants it or not, because national security of the US is at stake. The British, you saw this Catriona Liang of a woman that said she's high commissioner, jumping from one closet to the other to talk about who they would deny visa if they don't. The 2023 election, we say, cannot proceed on the basis of this 1999 constitution. And this high commissioner of the same Britain that was responsible for how we got into this mess, going around, muddling up the water. We said to everybody, Britain that controlled the seas in 1967 is not in a position to put a carrier to sea today. Britain, no matter how much they wish, no matter how much they think it should be so, should go and sort out their crumbling United Kingdom. They should go and persuade Scotland to stay back. They should persuade Ireland and all the other people to stay back, instead of coming to tell us that we can't approach the question of autonomy that they already had as the basis of their own union. So whatever Britain could do in 1967, I tell you, is no longer so today. Let those who have been intimidated by their backing just look away from them and look at where the powers are today. And the US national security interest is at stake, and they have taken the trouble to examine their options, and they have taken decisions on what to do. Let's go to the next question.
Thank you very much. The next question is rather redundant. Is NINAS trying to split Nigeria or fix Nigeria? I think that has already been taken care of.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch on that again?
The simple proposition of NINAS is to bring this matter to resolution under a roof in a civilized manner. People are insisting that they are being held in this union against their will. The federation they agreed to be have been overtaken, have been overthrown by this segment. The secular union they agreed to be have been overthrown by this same segment of the Nigeria. And what NINAS has done is to put a process, activate a process that brings every side to the table, including the international stakeholders, so that in an organized manner, still managing the existing constitutional order in some way, interfacing with the existing governance order so that anarchy does not come. NINAS has put a plan on the table that can resolve the question of Nigeria in distress, what we call the national question, all this while. And it will be a function of referendums for the level of autonomy, like already explained, what everybody will want. That constitution must go, and the decision for what to do with their sovereignties, the sovereignties of the various constituent components, will be entirely a product of self-determination referendums. We are not doing more than that. We want to offer everybody an opportunity to peacefully resolve their issues in Nigeria. It is when a segment, like we have seen, those who are advertising the election, Yakubu, INEC will jump out and ask parties to come, go and register now. Under which constitution will the winner of that election in 2023 govern? Will the 36 states cease to be? Will the 7 and 4 local government areas cease to be? Will the 16 items of exclusiveness disappear? because one candidate from the east or west is now president. Was Obasanjo not president? Was Jonathan not president? What could they change in what was imposed? So we're saying that it is just a matter of time to deceive, but those who they are hoping to deceive are already far ahead of them in the journey to retrieving their sovereignty. Those who want to go to election under that 1999 constitution in 2023 are going to suddenly find out that they are going to contend with their people who have rejected that constitution. If they have become stronger than all the people, they are going to see it on the street. But we invite everybody, while the opportunity lasts, for us to go and sort out this matter in a civilized manner, in an orderly manner, and under the roof. Otherwise, it will sort out itself on the street. People are being killed. It's not, their assets have been detained all this while, seized. But now they are being invited to lay down their lives so that there can be Nigeria. That Nigeria is not their project. That Nigeria defined by this constitution has become a union of death. They are not willing to carry any further.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Thank you very much. And of course, it's very important for people to know that those who are afraid of war, you're already at war. Washoko is already in the villages and the towns. Unemployment has been against you. People are dying of diseases that could be cured.
Which war is worse than what is going on in Yoruba land today? What is going on in Middle Belt today? What has surrounded the eastern Nigeria today? Which war is worse than that? We're already at war. They are not declaring it. People are being killed in these numbers. Farmers can no longer farm, and famine will come. People are going to more and more lack of food. It's going to lead to more death. The hopelessness
it's already
of the
happening.
System and all the people, young people, everything the young people try to do, Nigeria is there to stop them. There's no electricity to work with. There's no security to work. You send your people to go and charge other people out of their farms. You take money from the treasury and you are doing one national agricultural thing or the other. Now we hear about water bill, waterway bill. The federal government also wants to take over all the bodies of water, and they are joining lands to those bodies of water, meaning that the Fulani will become the owners of all waters and all the lands touching the waters across every community. What land will be left for the owners of the land? If we do not stand up, those senators, those house members from this alliance territory who are sitting in that National Assembly with them, it doesn't matter how you vote. For the ones who are talking about, I voted this way or voted that way, it is because they are sitting there with them that they are still pretending there's a union. If those senators and the house members from the alliance territory, from the South and Middle Belt, do not pack their bags and come back from that terrible place of this, regional, refuge camp of regional renegades called Abuja, if they sit there and knowing fully well that they will be outvoted, that bill is introduced in any way, and they continue to sit there, we will not blame anybody else but them for any outcome. We're not interested in the one about electoral reform, because those who are going to election can continue to reform there because they are on another mission trying to save that constitution by dragging us to election under it. Those who are suffering from the brigandage of the Fulani, from the killings that are happening on account of that constitution, are not interested in any election. It's not democracy for us. It may be democracy for any other person. Under what constitution? Democracy under apartheid? Let us get serious. But we are sending clear signals, clear warning to the senators and house members from the South and the Middle Belt sitting in that Abuja, because it is their presence that validates whatever gets done there, whether they vote one side or the other. The best thing they can do for themselves and their families is to come back from that place. The union is in dispute. The constitution under which they are, the constitution they swore to defend and uphold, is the same constitution the people they represent are rejecting and repudiating. It is time for them to pull back and not hope to tell us they voted one way or the other. We won't be interested in that. It is their presence that is validating the process. And that is where their guilt will come from, that they stayed back there and that bill was introduced. Let's go to another question.
Tony, let me just, let me drift away for a second. That picture on the screen, can you describe to us who is on that picture, on that image, and what's going on there?
This was inside the big committee, the hearing room, the kind of thing you call hearing room in the Senate of the United States Congress, Capitol Hill. The person you see the closest to us is called Frank Gaffney. If you look further, you will see me in that lineup. And the ladies after me, that's the daughter of the chief, the one they murdered the paramount ruler, that's the daughter there. The mother of Leah Shoaib is the next. If you go to another picture that brings out, the mother of Leah Shoaib, these are all the victims of the Fulani killings, the Fulani herdsmen, so-called, the Fulani militia posing as herdsmen, move again to where the mother of Leah Shoaib will be seen more clearly, So these are all the victims from across the middle belt of the militia herdsmen were invited by Washington. Yes, these are the pictures. That's the mother of Leah Shoaib. That's the daughter of the chief that was being, molested, the one that got killed, and the people who got arrested from those killings. And then the one from Agatu, the victims from the Agatu were also here, the Agatu massacres. Some people from southern Kaduna and all of that. So it is, the US took 7 months, 7 months. The picture here is Ambassador Sam Brownback. That's his hand to my back. The US ambassador at large for international religious freedom. There's a law in the US by which the US commits itself to go into any part of the world where this kind of killings happening to us are happening. That law was made in 1998. It's called International Religious Freedom Act. And the champion of it is, Congressman, is now retired, Frank Wolf. Yes, that's Frank Wolf standing there with me. That law is being activated by the US for the first time, because this is the first time the US administration, the US government had been persuaded by foreign, people from outside the US that such things that are happening to us qualify for the activation of that law. So that law was activated for the first time since the 1998. It was made after our 7 months engagement with Washington. So our people should know that there's the same place where Bishop Cooker has gone to now. The US already has everything it needs to know about what's happening here. All the pretenses come to naught. We remember that in June of 2019, while we were having this engagement, Osinbajo, the vice president of Nigeria, was sent to come to tell the US government that no killings were taking place. He actually came, and he was embarrassed. He was told to his face that it was a shameless lie in Washington. That the US, he was, as a pastor, as a professor of law, as a Yoruba man, they are killing your people, and they send you to come to say it's not happening. And you actually boarded the plane to come to tell us it's not happening, forgetting that it's the US satellite that is being used by your military to search for the people who have been kidnapped and killed. So all these things have happened. The US has a full documentation. That's why the policies they've rolled out, are anchored on reality, not on the conjecture that people are trying to deceive themselves into believing. Our people should get up now to know that if they don't listen, when AK-47 come to their doorstep, they will be forced to listen. The little things we're asking them to do, like to stop the journey to election in 2023 under this constitution, because the Fulani are just looking for how to, infuse some life back into that constitution. We have defeated this constitution. The only thing that can give it life is if we proceed to another election under it. Let our people listen now that they can still save themselves from being killed by people who are already here to slaughter them and take over their land. It is within our reach to do. If we don't do it, we'll be compelled to wage a bigger fight when the AK-47 turn up in our space. Next question, please.
Thank you very much, Tony. There's somebody that needs to be muted. I think I muted the person, yes. Some background noise coming from somebody, but I just muted the person. Yes, thank you very much for that.
Yes.
Please, Donald or Jean, help please and mute, find who has a background and mute the person to eliminate the background noise. We can see the advantages of being an alliance bloc now and after sovereignty is restored. What disadvantages or challenges do you foresee for the alliance blocs, and what is being done to address those challenges?
It is, there's just a matter of working out fresh protocols. However, whatever regulates the relationship between Germany and France and Portugal and the European Union they are doing, I can assure you it won't take us. A lot of discussions are taking place. We will sort out ourselves. It's not we all hold human life. Let me give us what I can give us at this time in terms of the formula by which we manage our relationship. We hold is a security and economic alliance in the first layer. The security and economic alliance. We all hold human life sacrosanct in all the blocks in the alliance. We all hold all men born equal in all the blocks in the alliance, meaning that nobody is going to be allowed to take the life of the other, unlike the other people who owe it a duty of faith to kill the infidel. No matter how you sort out all the other issues of how we live together, that duty will never go away as long as they embrace Sharia. And you are saying you are not going with them in Sharia. They owe it a duty of faith to kill you. They can lie to you, deceive you like they're deceiving a lot of people now into thinking they're in democracy, into thinking that Nigeria is being built, whereas they're destroying Nigeria, trying to annex Nigeria to their caliphate that is now to be headquartered elsewhere. Is it by accident that refineries are being built in Niger and railways and all this heavy borrowing from China? Thank God China is waking up. So they are destroying Nigeria. Do they not know that our currency is collapsing? Do they not know that all these things are happening or that insecurity? Father Kuka was talking about, Bishop Kuka was talking about Nigeria being helpless, or federal government of Nigeria being helpless. No. What was the reason why Trump asked Buhari in their private meeting, why are you killing Christians? What we're talking about here is complicity. The federal government of Nigeria is complicit in the killing, not helpless. They are complicit. And so we go from there to all of what, they've been trying to throw up here and there, pretending, that things are the way they are not. The alliance territories will work out their relationships just like Germany and France and Portugal does. Since we all hold human life sacrosanct and we hold all men equal, the other people believe that they are born to rule, that's in their feudalist worldview. From there, we all want education for our people. There's nobody in the alliance territory that doesn't want the best education for their people. There's nobody in the alliance territory that doesn't want housing and healthcare and all the things that other people in the 21st century used to build their society. The only people who do not want that is the same feudalists who believe that it's only the children of the emir that should go to Harvard and Oxford, while the rest of the children are on the street, they're doing a majority. And when the elections come, they unleash 3 million. You saw the governor in Kano the other time telling us that they have 10 million a majority they can use to ruin any election any day. Is that the kind of union I should be building with anybody? Gumi is now going about telling us it is our fault that we didn't go to give them it. Am I the one that refused to give them education? Jonathan built schools. What did they do with those schools? They shut them down, refused to use them. And now they want to dump their millions of human beings they have turned into missiles on the rest of us. It has to be discussed. Not in the context of Nigeria that is our project. Until Nigeria becomes our project, that problem is their problem. If they do not want Nigeria to be a project, then they can keep their problem to themselves. They can come and dump it on us. Gumi knows where to find bandits and terrorists in the forest. The army and DSS goes with him to deal with those bandits and terrorists. But the army cannot find those bandits and terrorists. And they expect me to continue to listen to them. I'm ashamed of the media in Nigeria. I'm ashamed of the lawyers in Nigeria. I'm ashamed of the men of God in Nigeria who are not putting the two and two together to speak about it. And anybody who is not speaking now is firmly on the side of the enemy. for the men of God in the land, let people ask their general overseers why they're not speaking like Paul Adefarasi is speaking, about the constitution as a fraud, about the census figures upon which elections are being planned by INEC, distorted and damaged basis of union. The men of God in the land, anybody who does not speak up now concerning this dispute, rejecting that constitution, rejecting further elections under it, is a part of the problem. You can take it to the bank.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony Nnadi. This other question here is what differentiates NINAS from groups such as IPOB?
What we're doing is called self-determination. And we have a process we put on the table. In the eastern part, for instance, where you have IPOB and the people who say they want restoration of Biafra, they are calling it a name that makes it very difficult to manage. Because if you ask them, what exactly do you mean by Biafra restoration? I've shown you the maps now. The Biafra of 1967 includes 100% today's River State, Bayelsa State, Cross River State, Akwa Ibom State. And you can see the nationalities that are in those states. Ijo, Ogoni, Anang, Africa, everywhere. If you say you want to restore Biafra, you sit in one corner of London, saying so. You've never gone to sit down with the owners of these sovereignties that constitute that territory if we are discussing Biafra of 1967. You are telling them you want to annex them. You declare yourself supreme leader, and you have all surrounded by Igbo people, deputy Igbo. Chukwokika Abiyama is the standard language. How does it sound in the ears of this? So it is just something that holds no meaning. Restoration of Biafra. So if that is the campaign, because the first question you are going to be asked is, where is the map of the territory you want independence for? What is the agreement you have reached with these people? For us in Lower Niger Congress, NINAS can answer that question, because you can see in the processes we undertook, we got everybody to go and work out what their map will be and what their internal cohesion will look like. Charter of relationship. The Lower Niger is doing so. Ijo, as I speak with you, the first draft is being finalized for public presentation so that people can begin to scrutinize it in the various blocks before we go to the ratification process. It's ongoing as I speak with you. And there are people who are involved in that task present in this meeting. In the Middle Belt, the same thing is going on. So there is a strategy, there is a roadmap, there is engagement to bring everybody to be on the same page. Unlike what happened in 1967, where people were being killed and the governor and the people had to draw a line. So we comport what we are doing into internationally accepted mechanisms, particularly as it will end in referendum. We have offered transitioning so that those who are running the day-to-day government can remain in a transitional capacity for the period like South Africa did with the apartheid constitution, so that we don't go to Somalia because we're trying to run away from Nigeria. That's what separates from the NINAS process from all of this. It's one thing to complain and shout and say, oh, I don't agree. It's another to have a strategy to deliver the outcome. Those who want Biafra, those who want Odua Republic, those who want Middle Belt Republic, the answers are staring at you. It is that constitution that stands your way. We have a mechanism that takes down that constitution right now. We have a mechanism that will lead to referendum so that you can decide, one way or the other, what to do with your sovereignty. Why are we not going through that process? Why are we throwing tantrums around and making Photoshop and pretending we're talking to international committee when we have never gone to sit with anybody anywhere? The Lower Niger Congress and the NINAS Alliance can show everybody what the plan is, where it is, and where it's going to end, and what we have discussed with the international committee, and the actions that have been taken from the things we placed before them. Can the other people say same for themselves? No. You just go shouting and causing confusion, destroying the alliances we need to succeed. If anybody gets free from Nigeria, it will be because that constitution is taken down. If that constitution is taken down, it will be because this alliance is working together. But when you go destroying the basis of working together by calling people names, day and night, and denigrating them, abusing them, now the product of that alliance is coming for everybody to see. You jump forward to say, oh, as if you are the one that, who had ever gone to Akure and Ondo and Ibadan to sit down with those who will decide for Yoruba land? Who had gone to Jos and Makurdi and all the places?
Yes, thank you, Tony. Some technical things there. This alliance has been everywhere, in every corner. If you have looked at the Yoruba bloc, when they have had meetings, top-level meetings, Tony Nnadi is invited to those meetings. The alliance is very transparent. The things that while Tony tries to join us again, I think he lost his video. He's coming back in a second. You can verify everything that NINAS is doing. Starting from Lower Niger Congress, you can verify, you can go back and ask questions about what this alliance, this group had done there. From engagements with the Oba of Benin, to the Olu of Warri, to the Amanyana boss, to all the way to the Obong in Calabar, to all the Igbo leaders, the leaders from all the different ethnic nationalities. These are all real things that happened. We are not going online and sitting there for 30 minutes and producing a video that never happened, Photoshop and all that thing, all those things. That's a major difference as far as I am concerned. Because what NINAS does, what Lower Niger Congress does, you can verify because it actually happened. It's not being created online. These are not products of Photoshop and other things you see. Like you tell people, people tell you that the Biafra movement has gone to the UN, they have gone to this. We all have, I have access to those things. I thoroughly investigated those things. They never happened. There is nothing going on in those places as the people are told. These are just products of Photoshop and the use of the internet to create those realities. These things I showed you, we displayed right here. I can tell you when they happened in the US Congress. June 5th in the House of Representatives, June 11th, that's 2019, June 11th in the Senate, in the State Department, July 16th. You have definite, if you go to those people and you ask the US government about these records, they'll show it to you because these are all documented things, activities, engagements that actually took place. And the United Nations, the same way, if they had a meeting with Lower Niger Congress, it's documented. So those are little things. We just want to make sure that people know what is real and what is not. You see some news reports where an Oyibo voice is out there saying the United States of America has done X, Y, Z. That is simple text to voice technology. You can download it online free of charge. And you can create something like that that gives an impression of an event that never happened. And then those are the things about NINAS and why people like me, people like Ebituki, people like Senator Aniete Okon, the people of TK Ogoriba, and all these people are with NINAS. It's because of it's a high integrity movement. We are not playing. There's no wayo here. So let me go there. Is Tony back? Because I would like to have a couple of other questions before we conclude today. Yeah, some technology issues and
Tony is not back. And
yeah, Tony is not back. Okay.
And
so
we are already running above 2 hours, so you should be.
Yes, we're not there yet.
Remember,
we started a little late, so we're going to just conclude.
While Tony is yet to come back, Tony, can you get questions from those that raised their hands and answer them within you and SAPE and the rest of the people that are here?
I'm going to take a couple of questions here. Should we be concerned about Nigeria's representatives at the UN, Amina Mohammed? Tony really wanted to touch on this. And then another question here is, Nigeria seems to be crushing all opposition. How do we ensure that Nigeria does what NINAS has demanded? Actually, that one, we really don't need to touch it. We already addressed it. How do you reconcile the national interests of foreign governments, such as the United States and NINAS prescriptions for Nigeria? I think he's already touched on that, being that we have already covered those things. And on questions, dream night. By the way, before we even get there, can somebody call Tony? And let me try to reach Tony and see what is happening.
Don't worry, let me do that.
Yes, call Tony, yes. Let's not... Oh, yes. I see somebody here with a raised hand called Dream Night. We have a policy here. If we don't know your real name, we do not... so if you can just reset your system to reflect your name, and please your video also when you speak to us. Onocheta Matthew, do you have a question? Dream Night, please modify your name and then you can ask questions. Where's Onocheta? While we're waiting for Tony.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening. Can you show us your video, please? Can you?
No, did you run into a problem?
Sir.
Okay, Onocheta, good evening. Please, Matthew,
yes, sir.
Ask us, yes.
My question is, since we have something from the Biafra land where they can communicate to those people that don't have access to social media and some other things, if we can get a link to get those market people involved in this thing, it will be very okay. I came late for this meeting, but at least I've been looking for a way to talk to the topmost authority in this link, and how we can get those students, all those students union and all those things, how we can get them involved in all these things. They should be here, all those school union presidents and all those people. I don't know if you are working on that line too. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. There are different, there's been quite a lot of outreaches out there. And I would let is Akuche there to answer that question? Or Seb, can you take that question?
Now, some might also read it in the chat. The difference between Ninas and maybe some agitators that you know is that Ninas is making it clear that you are Ninas. You are the engine of your liberation. So, just as you have GSM network, right? GSM network works like a beehive, right? Each person has a small network. Each person or other person have a small network, then they connect. Each of you here must start to create your little network. If you are in the diaspora, you are network in the diaspora plus those you are supporting at home, you must have that network and you must pass the message of Ninas to them because this is a high-tech self-liberation movement, okay? They must understand the information. And then they have to register for the referendum. If you look at the chart, you will see the link to register for the referendum. And then they have to mobilize themselves. You are people in the village. They must mobilize to stop the politicians from going 2023. You are people in the schools. You have to mobilize them to talk with their friends. And that through those connections, you will bring feedback to Nina Secretariat about the leaders that you have identified. Then they will get additional training, okay? But the important thing is that each of us must know this message and then pass it on to our family, to our village, to our town union. If we don't do this, we are losing time. I think you can add on it if you have more to add.
Okay, At this time, I think Tony has actually.
Let me add something to what Seb said. Sorry, I cannot come on live, but I'm here. She asked about the participation of students, if we have been able to reach out to student union organizations and so forth. Yes, Onocheta. We are actually, if you look online, you are going to see some projects done by the youth wing of NINAS. They call themselves the Project Nigeria. They actually did a talk show that explained what the NINAS constitutional force majeure is all about. So we have them. They are presently in about 2 universities, and they are working on expanding and reaching out to their union governments in their different. So if you look online, just look at Project Nigeria, you're going to see a couple of youths doing some things. Thank you very much. Okay, so Johnny,
thank you, Donald.
The night guy is Clayton Udo. I think I know him. He has changed his name.
Well,
I knew the face. I was trying to remember the name, but I knew the face.
What I'm going to do is, at this time, we want to keep this at 2 hours. We have gone quite far with this. If Tony is not back, I would say that we should conclude at this time. Other questions we can take on from next week. I wish Tony would be here, because this session today is for questions to be asked and for Tony to respond to those questions.
Yeah, he'll be back in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. So when Tony comes in, then we can proceed and complete this particular session, which is Tony coming here to answer questions and to speak to us. But preferably, I would actually say end it right now, because there's no other. There's nothing we can just. I don't want us to change the temperature of the, the direction of what we have started just for today. Next week we can go back into that, and I recommend for anyone who has questions to come. We do this every week, and
Johnny, please, can we hear what Clayton has to say? Just hear Clayton and
Clayton
move from there.
Okay.
Clayton, go ahead.
But you have to unmute.
I think the question. I think what question? No, Donald. Next week, I'm going to take care of that next week. Clayton, please join us next week with your question.
I will not be able to join next week. I will not be able to join, and I have a very important question that I need all these gentlemen to hear right now. Very, very important, extremely important. And I would have loved the gentlemen to hear the question I have to give, because I represent a particular sector.
Is that a question or a statement? Because we have a different format today, and I'm going to.
Okay, I have a question, and it's a question. I'm trying to explain why I want to give the question right now.
No, just tell me the question. Just ask a question. We don't want a statement. Just ask a question.
Okay. Here's my question. My question is that technically, right now, in the West African sub-region, the idea of a referendum is something that the Western civilizations do not want to award. They do not want to award a referendum because a scattered West African sub-region gives them cheaper resources for their industry.
No, I'm not. Those are not factually based. I don't want us to get into that. And I'm going to next. I don't want to. I've watched you online, and I've seen your videos. If you're coming to make a statement, it's a different thing. On this particular program, I want us to, next week you come and then you can present your question. We're not doing that today.
That's okay. We'll round up. We'll round up.
Yes, we're going to round up right now.
Before you round up, is it the same login detail? Because I just stumbled into you. I'd like to join you next week.
Yes, it's the same login detail. It's the same login detail. Thank you. Okay.
Let me check and be sure. Because next week we already have it published.
Yes, it's going to be next week at the same time next week. Okay, and at this time I'm just going to thank Tony.
Johnny, this is Akuche. Yes. Isn't the conference for next week?
Oh yes, because I wanted us to talk about that conference.
Special conference.
Yes, I want us to talk about the conference from next week. Next week, there's going to be a mega conference of as a matter of fact, who among us here is going to, who is a better, there's going to be a mega conference of the Lower Niger territory. It's going to be big, and it's going to be on Zoom. It's going to be, it's as a matter of fact, that the invitation I should, if you don't have a copy of that invitation, please get it now.
We are not members.
It's going to be on Zoom, and then you are free to join. The Zoom ID is there as well as the passcode. I am going to Saturday, the 24th of July, there's going to be a mega conference of the Lower Niger territory. And the title of that is Walking Through the Open Gates of Freedom, Now or Never. It's going to be, you have speakers like Don Pedro Obaseki. You're going to have it being convened by people like Komode Bitu Kiwe, by Senator Adniet Okon, the TK Ogoriba, Elder TK Ogoriba, Tony Nnadi, Esquire, Fred Abeyebe. There's yes, that's right. There's Dafe Enuma, attorney. There is Mrs. Chika Ibeneme, Dr. Mrs. Chika Ibeneme. These are conveners of this event. It's going to be big. It's going to include every section of the Lower Niger territory. And we're going to get together and talk to each other. We're going to have a big conference this coming Saturday. It's going to be happening at the same time that this meeting is supposed to be. It's going to be streamed live by all kinds of platforms. Njenje Media is in. People like Elomba TV, Schengen Media, just a host of organizations, media partners are going to be part of that event.
Sorry, just a correction. It's 10 a.m. Nigerian time.
It's 6 p.m.
No, 6 p.m.
6
Nigerian
p.m.
time.
Sorry.
6
Yes.
p.m. Nigerian time.
6 p.m.
Yes.
So not 7,
Yes.
because this is 7 p.m., right?
This is yes. Yes, it's going to be, yes, that's right. It's going to be 6 p.m. If you're in Texas, it's if you're in Houston, Texas, it's 12 p.m. If you're in California, it's 10. In the West Coast, it's 10 a.m., right?
That's right. That's right.
Yes. If you're in New York, it's 1 p.m. If you're in England, I think England should be same time as Nigeria, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, yes. It's going to be a big event. I would like
I have put it in the chat. I'll put the Zoom calling ID and passcode in the chat. Please kindly look in the chat and copy it quickly before we close. Now, look in the chat and copy it. Or should I dictate the Zoom calling? Because the gentleman, Sam Bayo, is saying he doesn't have any, that he came across it by chance.
By chance, okay. It's out there, and it's going to be a big event. It's going to be, you're going to see names there that will just, people that are coming to talk to us from the Lower Niger territory. And if you look at in fact, I'm looking here to see where is that thing here? I wanted to share it here.
You mean the flyer?
Yes.
You have Air Commodore Ebitu Okiwe.
Yes.
You have Elder TK Ogoriba.
Yes.
You have Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki.
Mm-hmm.
You have also Chief Mrs. Chika Ibeneme.
Yes.
You have Rear Admiral Geoffrey Yanga, retired.
Yes.
You have the attorney Dafe Enuma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have Fred Abeyebe Esquire.
Yes.
You have Senator Anieti Okon.
Yes.
You have Barrister Tony Nnadi and others. These are all the ones that we just put their pictures.
Yes. Okay. I want to thank everybody for participating. We don't have Tony back, technology, and these are one of the things that we're going to fix when we get our
separated back. We'll have it's Nigeria situation. It's Nigeria situation. Electricity. Yeah, electricity disappointed in now.
No. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. That when we get our sovereignty back, we're going to have better we're going to have electricity. We're going to have better internet connections.
Exactly.
We're going to have better roads. We're going to have better everything once we succeed. The state of our place right now, the state of our homeland right now is not good. It's not normal. This is not normal. This is not how sane societies function. This is an aberration where you have so many smart people and it looks like you turned wild animals loose. You know, many of you who have traveled overseas, you know, back to Nigeria, when you left, my goodness, Nigeria, I mean, that space is so blessed that people don't even believe what is going on. We had a meeting recently, me and Tony, with a very high-powered American political figure. And we were having a discussion. But what the man told us was that that Nigeria is not even a growing economy at this time. It's not growing. So Nigeria used to be called a growing country. He said Nigeria is actually on is like a spiral drop. Nigeria is falling right now. Economy is not growing. A growing nation, we used to take it for granted. A growing nation meant that people expect you to be at level 1 today, and by next year, because of all the natural resources and the youth population and all kinds of indices, they assume that by next year you will rise to level 2. And maybe in 20 years, you get to level 5 as you grow as a nation.
Sorry, please. The meeting ID is not correct. The meeting ID is 11 digits. It ought to be 10 digits.
How many are there?
What we have there is 11 digits. Zoom meetings
952-479. 952-4790-2501. That's what I have. Is it what I have?
It's actually correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just looked at the 2501. Yes, it's correct. So because of right now, I'm going to say let's conclude right now. I thank everybody for joining, and I'm going to ask Njenje, if you're on, you can stop the recording at this time, and then we will. I'm signing off. My name is Johnny Nosike, and thanks to everyone for participating. Those of you on the Zoom platform, as well as on all of the other social media platforms. And as always, Njenje, God bless you, my brother. God bless that organization. Thank you. And you can stop the recording now.